you with the terrestrial air. We're back on air, folks, and let's just keep it that way. Man, never a dull moment here. Anyway, this is WBAI New York, WBAI.org on the web. Stay tuned for the State of the Arts NYC coming up.
This is State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. And tonight we have our last show for the year. We have with us joining Krista Bradley, who is the Director of Programs and Resources at APAP. And we have Antonio Monda, writer and the artistic director of the Rome Film Festival and the international literary festival Le Conversazioni. We also have joining us Michele Rosewoman, jazz artist, and who has been commissioned by Chamber Music America with a new work for their 40th anniversary festival. And wrapping our show will be Irene Javors with another Museum Edge review on Louise Bourgeois. So, we are excited to have all of our guests for the last show of the year. So, let's get started. I can't hear anything. So, are you there with us, Michele?
I sure am.
Okay. So, again, for the benefit of our audience, Michele Rosewoman is an American jazz pianist living in New York. She is most notable for her work and recordings with her Quintessence ensemble, as well as her New York Yuba ensemble. Rosewoman has released 9 albums, including 5 with Quintessence, and several trio and quartet recordings. Her New York Yuba ensemble, featuring Orlando Pontilia Rios, I hope I'm saying that correctly, until his death in 2008, is an Afro-Cuban jazz big band that Rosewoman founded in 1983. It finally released its first album in 2013 in celebration of its 30th anniversary. Now, you have also performed with a lot of big artists as well, from New York to California and back. And I just want to thank you for coming to us, because now Chamber Music America has commissioned you to do a new work that will be shared with others in January during Jan Arts NYC and their 40th anniversary festival. So how does it feel to be a part of all of that?
Oh, it's great. Chamber Music America has been a great supporter of the tradition of jazz by bringing it into the umbrella of Chamber Music America, which really just happened in the last, 10 years or so. Mm-hmm. And we kind of qualify, we kind of meet the definition. So Chamber Music America found a way to take some of that funding made available for a lot of classical music and help share it with this jazz idiom. So I've received several commissions from the organization along the way, but this was the first one for my New Yoruba ensemble. Okay. By the way, the name New Yoruba implies the continuity of the music from the Yoruba, from Nigeria by way of Cuba to present-day New York. Mm-hmm. That's kind of suggested in the name. So in this particular commissioned work, I am really deeply rooted in the folklore tradition, which these master percussionists that are with me, they are the masters in this country of this oral tradition. And the piece was really anchored to and founded on a particular sequence of very sacred and traditional rhythms. So it's wonderful to have to be a part of the conference, to be a part of the Chamber of Music America presentation, and to have been receive this kind of support for major work. I just want to really give kudos to the organization, and I'm happy to be present and performing during these conferences, because lots of folks are in town, and maybe some people who have wanted to hear us will get a chance.
Right. Well, just to let you know, we have brought other Cuban artists onto the show over the last year, particularly since former President Obama, normalized relations between the United States and Cuba. And then there was this sort of floodgate that was open. And because of that floodgate, you had all these different groups that were able to travel for the first time to Cuba, and then groups from Cuba coming to the United States for the very first time.
For a minute. It was good for a minute.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we can still keep those doors open, even in the midst of this particular president. But
I hear you.
But
I want to mention that I was in Cuba at the time when President Obama announced the new policy. I was there with the Arturo Farrell ensemble, and we were performing and recording what became the Grammy-winning Cuba, The Conversation Continues. I was commissioned to write a piece for that record as well. As a matter of fact, that's one of the pieces we're doing on my new recording that includes the commissioned work and that work that was first recorded by his ensemble. But we were there at the time, and it was something really quite an amazing moment to be there to experience the emotions of the Cubanos who were praying for such possibilities. I don't know that it manifested in any change in particular for those who live there and struggle. In fact, I can say it hasn't, unfortunately.
Well,
there's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's a very complex situation. But just to let you know, I've had Arturo on my show as well. We had a great conversation, and it also stemmed...
Very conversational, yeah.
Yes.
He has a lot to say.
Yes, but it also stemmed from a concert that he did in conjunction with my arts organization and Jazz at Lincoln Center several years ago at St. Nicholas Park in West Harlem, where he performed there live. It was the very first time that Jazz at Lincoln Center had performed in an open space live, and it really was phenomenal to have him there. So we were having a great time reminiscing on that as well. And then we've had some other folks. We had Sandra Garcia, who's been on our show. She runs the Cuban organization, the not-for-profit in Manhattan. We've had other jazz artists here onto the show talking about their Afro-Cuban roots. We've also had other guests who like Tanya Molina, who is her family's from Belize, talking about the Afro-Latino influence in the Bronx, in New York City. So we've had quite a few guests to talk about that fusion of styles. Now, tell us, how long have you been here in the United States, Michele?
I'm born here. I'm born in Oakland, California, and I've been in New York since 1978.
Oh, wow. You've been here for a very, very long time.
Yeah, a long time. And gave birth to the New Yoruba Ensemble during my first years here in reference to Orlando Puntilla Rios. He was our master folklorist. He brought a lot of knowledge here and was really foundational and was at the basis of my proposing this group and concept to NEA, which gave birth to the ensemble because we got the grant and did our debut performance at the Public Theater back in 1983, featuring Orlando Puntilla Rios. We now feature the great Roman Diaz. We always play forever in honor of Puntilla. He is crucial and vital to this community. He really was at the heart of, you know about Soundscape?
Yes.
Okay, that was Bernie Gillis.
In fact, Michele, why don't we play one of the cuts that you provided for us so that way we can hear your music and then we can talk a little bit more about it. So
okay, I'll mention that the recordings, it's a double disc that came out in 2013 and won the NPR #1 Latin Jazz, and it features Perito Martinez and Roman Diaz, as well as Oliver Lake and Howard Johnson, and lots of great musicians on there.
Okay.
And I think, are you going to play that shorter track that we spoke of?
Yes, right now. So let us play that track.
That one is called Down for Ochun.
Okay. So, Michele.
Yes.
Michele?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that was a great cut. So tell us, what was the inspiration behind that particular piece?
Okay, well, that actually goes way, way back. One of the first things that I wrote built around the bata rhythm, that particular rhythm, which is played for Tenchere Gururu for Otun. And the piece is just written around it, and we're just grooving hard. And really, a lot of those Bata rhythms are, to me, they seem to be the original funk. There's just nothing funkier.
Okay.
So it's a lot of fun to play on it and write to it and present it. You know, we always that seems to be a kind of a favorite. We've done that with the quintet, with the trio. I do it solo. I do it any kind of way.
Okay.
That particular one.
All right. Now, the music that you're going to be playing for Chamber Music America, and tell us again, when will that performance take place?
Okay, that's on Sunday, January 7th, between 3 and 5 p.m. There are 2 commissioned works. One is, I believe, the Argus String Quartet. It's a classical commission. And then this is the New Orleans Jazz Commission by my New Yoruba Ensemble. And this particular commissioned work is called Oru de Oro, roughly translating as Room of Gold or Sacred Room. And this is built around on top of the Oru Seco, which is a sequence of rhythms played at the throne at ceremony. It's very sacred, very oral tradition. And so the music was...
But before you go into all of those details, I just want our audience to know, because this special concert that's taking place on the 7th, this is a free concert where anyone can attend. Where will this concert be performed at?
Okay, that's at the Dimena Center. Let's see. I don't have that address right in front of me, but I'll have it in
Which
one
center?
second.
I didn't hear you, hon.
It's called the Dimena Center, Dimena.
Okay.
It's called the Dimena Center, I believe, for classical music. Here's the address. It is 450 West 37th Street.
Okay, so we want our audience to know that they get a chance so that they can hear you perform these 2 commissioned works on the 7th between 3 to 5 p.m. at the Dimena Center that's located on 37th Street, and I'm assuming first come, first serve, correct?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'm sure it's a large room, but there's, so much seating laid out. I don't think folks will be turned away. They could probably set up more seats. But to clarify, we're playing second. We're playing 1 commissioned work, and there's another group playing commissioned work before us.
Okay.
The whole thing happens from 3 to 5 p.m.
Okay, this is great, because we want our folks to understand that Chamber Music America is also affiliated with about 11 other festivals during the month of January. These are all performing arts festivals, making conferences. Well, there's a conference, APAP, and then there are also festivals. There's so many. We've been supporting all of these festivals and conferences during the month of January, and it's being partnered with the Office of Media and Entertainment with the City of New York. They call it Jan Arts NYC. And these various festivals make it possible for the public to enjoy these wonderful showcases of various performance, whether it's jazz or classical music or chamber opera or theater, so that the public gets to see new works and they get to meet new artists or artists they are familiar with doing new genre. And this is one of the great things about being in New York City. Jan Arts NYC is the largest performance arts collaboration in America, and you are a part of this, Michele. So this is fantastic that you are doing this. And before we kind of wrap up our segment, tell us what things you're hoping to do in the coming year.
Well, we completed a new recording, so
great.
Before the end of 2018, we'll be releasing that. That'll be our 35th anniversary celebration. And there's some other projects I'm focused on as well. At the moment, this new CD is kind of at the top of the list since we just recently completed it. So there should be other dates and performances that I'll have to announce sometime in the near future.
Now, you do have a website, correct?
Oh, yes, sure. It's
So
just,
why don't you tell our audience what your website is so that they can
okay.
check it out?
That's MicheleRosewoman.com, and that's spelled MicheleRosewoman.com.
That's fantastic. And I just wanted to thank you so much, Michele. I mean, for our audience, I kind of reached out to chamber music kind of at the last minute. I don't normally do that, but I wanted to include as many groups that are participating in Jan Arts NYC. They recommended Michele, who graciously, and I mean graciously, agreed to be on our show tonight and to share with you what she is doing with chamber music, as well as the cut that we just heard. And we just want to thank you so much for coming onto our show this evening.
Well, thank you. I'm in great company and glad to be a part of your last show of the year. Mm-hmm. And for all the folks in town that are here for the conferences, it is a great opportunity. So enjoy everything, everybody, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The theme for the 2018 Association of Performing Arts Professionals Conference is Transact, exemplifying the transformative power of the arts and the actions essential to realize its well-defined goals. APAP, as it's known, advocates and supports development within the creative industry. The conference presents workshops, panel discussions, and live showcases featuring music, dance, theater, family programming, exhibitors, and more. APAP is a membership organization offering free special events which are open to the public with reservations. Live streaming of select content will be available. The Association of Performing Arts Professionals takes place January 12th through 16th at the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. For information, visit apapnyc.org. That's apapnyc.org.
And we are back with State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. And I just wanted to say thank you to Michele and Michele Rosewoman. She is a jazz artist, and she will be performing a special commission work, and that will be for Chamber Music America, their 40th anniversary, in partnership with Jan Arts NYC, APAP especially, and we just had a public service announcement that we played, and now we have Krista Bradley. Krista Bradley is the program director of program and resources for APAP. And we have her on the air so she could tell us about their conference coming up in January. For benefit of our audience, Krista most recently led Black Rock Center for the Arts, and that's a nonprofit multidisciplinary arts center in Germantown, Maryland. As executive and artistic director, she was responsible for programming the performance arts season and overseeing the day-to-day execution of marketing, education, the gallery programming, and as well as other aspects of operations for the organization. So, Krista, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Savona, it's great to be here.
Thank you so much. And we have been a big supporter of APAP for the third year in a row. Our first year on the air, we jumped in and supported APAP. Then we did it again last year, and now we're getting ready for 2018. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming. And I know you have a very different lineup for this year, correct?
We do. We're excited about this year's 61st conference, and as you know, and thank you for your support, APAP puts on the industry's largest convening of performing arts professionals from around the globe, and this is a time when all of those that are responsible for getting artists on stages around the world come together in New York to see work, to be inspired by thought leaders, by coming together and doing business, of planning people's seasons, And this year's programming, we've got a lot of great showcases as typical. But a lot of the programming and the conference sessions reflect some of the societal shifts that are happening. We have a lot of sessions on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have some first-time forums where members of the field are coming together to talk about issues that are impacting transgender arts professionals around the country. We have some people coming together from the circus arts field, which has become a live and building trend. Yeah, around the performing arts industry. Circus arts has found their ways onto proscenium stages and communities around the country. So lots of people are coming together to have a circus arts forum for the first time to learn about how we can create a stronger network for that art form.
Oh, wow. I just find that interesting. You're saying the circus arts, because I was kind of saddened when Ringling Brothers, shut down. And it's funny for me because, when I was growing up as a kid, you dealt with what was going on in, everyday life, but then you also knew about what happened from one or two generations before you. Now we're in a society where you have generations, just slightly younger than yourself. They don't know about certain things like the circus, actually going to the circus, and now it's no longer available to them because there was this sort of disconnect. So I'm kind of, I feel good that you're trying to help those performers, and they were really talented people who did all kinds of acrobatic works or performance works that I think should, live on. So I think, that's great. Hooray for APAP for that.
Yeah, we're excited about that. And also, just bringing industry leaders together to talk about shifts in our communities and how we can better connect with changing demographics and some just cultural inequities that are prevalent in our society these days, and how do we make sure that everyone has a seat at the table or everyone has a space under the tent for the circus piece, and that we really are addressing issues around gender and race and ethnicity and gender identity, and that's a real part of the work that happens on and off the stage. So we'll be talking about that as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, you also, just for the benefit of our audience, I just want to tell you how phenomenal APAP is. First of all, APAP occupies 2 hotels. I mean, like top to bottom, the Sheraton and the Hilton. And when I tell you top to bottom, I mean it. Every stage, every ballroom has multiple acts that are going on simultaneously. Each showcase is about 15 minutes long. So people got that 15 minutes worth of fame to get up on that stage, perform as people are judging them, evaluating them, analyzing if they will be good for their audience across the country and I'm sure internationally as well. And then they have workshops, they have panel discussions, they even have people in costumes that will come into the main lobbies where they have all the booths and just interact with people. You have folks singing, you have people just really, I mean, it's just this amazing thing. It sometimes is a sensory overload, but it's this amazing collection of people in 2 major venues just going around and showcasing the talent that's in this country. And then you also have special guests and honorees. Who are some of your honorees this year?
Oh, yeah. So we do an awards luncheon, and we'll be honoring a number of people, including the founder of Dance Theater of Harlem, Arthur Mitchell, will be getting our Award of Merit this year. We will be honoring folks that have championed advocacy, and Carlton Turner is the recipient of that award. So those are some of the folks that I can tell you about. Some are still under wraps, and they'll be a surprise. But those are two folks that we're very excited about honoring. And the third person, or the third group that we're honoring for programming is a group that many of your listeners might know, and that's Global Fest, the wonderful festival that brings together world music every year. We are honoring them as the recipient of our Dawson Award for programming this year.
Okay, that's great. That is really fantastic, because I think what you guys are doing is phenomenal. And I've worked with your team and how you've been trying to explain to so many organizations and media outlets what you're really trying to do, and that was to showcase the best in America, so that way you're actually helping people to get a job, to get a gig, to sustain themselves, to make the arts alive in America. It's not just about, I think a lot of people don't understand that the arts is a real business, and people need to get a job. They need an income. They need to take care of their families. They need to grow as an artist. And you guys actually make that happen more than I think any other group out here in America. A lot of people have come through your doors to actually improve upon themselves, make connections, network, and in the end, survive as artists, correct?
That's so true. We bring together over 3,500 people for this conference that represent the industry, from artists, agents, managers, producers, those who are programming work for stages, arts administrators, and consultants that all play a role in making sure that our ecosystem of the performing arts touring industry is alive and well. And as APAP is the industry leader, there is no other place on earth, really, where this many people come together to and that have this much influence on what you see, right? On your stages, or what's coming to your community, and which artists are actually getting booked. So it's a force, and a force that impacts many communities around the world, and many artists around the world, given our influence. And we're proud that we have been such an important force in New York. We are proud partners of Arts NYC, which is a consortium of 11 different festivals and trade organizations that have programming up and around the APAP conference. If APAP conference didn't exist in New York City, a lot of these festivals would not be here, or they wouldn't have actually spurned. So, it's really exciting. And for people that are not in the business but that love the arts, there are so many things for you to experience and enjoy, whether it's showcases around the city or whether it's some of our pre-conference sessions that are open to the public on Thursday and Friday, January 10th and 11th. The Circus Arts Forum, the Transgender Arts Professionals Forum, dance forums are open to the public, as well as issues around curating and activism and safety and such. So if you haven't had a chance, do check out our website at apap365.org.
Yes, we've had a number of people already on the show over the last couple of weeks. We had last week Michael Muenso, who is participating in Winter Jazz Fest. He was great. We had the artistic director, Christine Chaida, who is the artistic director for the American Dance Platform at the Joyce Theater. We will be having some more people on to the show that will be dealing with theater, and so we're very excited about Under the Radar. And I've been reaching out to everyone. You're here tonight with APAP. So we have Michele Rosewoman, who's with Chamber Music America, and she's doing a commission work for them. So we have really been supporting quite a bit, and we're also expecting some opera people from Prototype. So we have actually really been reaching out, and we also helped out with 2 public service announcements for both APAP and Jan Arts NYC that we've been playing on the air. So we have been a true supporter because I think what you guys are doing is important, extremely important. A lot of people don't understand that, artists need to survive. They need to take care of their families, and you guys are helping them in a very meaningful way to realize that.
Yes, and we so appreciate your support and being such an advocate for the arts industry and for artists in particular. And we're especially excited about having a number of artists being featured, at our conference. Bassem Youssef, some of you might know. He was a former heart surgeon, but he turned political satirist and comedian, and he is considered the Jon Stewart of Egypt.
Okay.
He will be sharing his wisdom and wit for us. Oscar Eustis from the Public Theater will be speaking to our constituents. Kyle Abraham, wonderful choreographer, and several others. Jason Moran will also be there. So we're excited about the diversity of artists' voices that are going to be featured as part of the conference.
All right. Now, when does not Jan Arts NYC, when does APAP begin their conference?
Our conference begins January 12th through the 16th, and we have pre-conference sessions on January 10th and 11th that are open to the public, which includes some of the things that we already mentioned, as well as a women's leadership forum that's happening for women in the arts.
Okay. Now, tell our audience again your website so they can go and get more information.
Absolutely. Our website is www.apap365.org.
Great. Well, I just wanted to say, Krista, it was a pleasure having you on the show. Congratulations, because you're the new Director of Programming and Resources for APAP. And then I wanted to just wish you a very, very successful conference and a very happy New Year.
Oh, thank you so much. I think I have the best job in the world. So, and Happy New Year to you and your listeners.
All right, then. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye. And we are back with State of the Arts NYC, where we cover art. And we just had on our show Krista Bradley, who is the brand new Director of Programming and Resources for APAP. And APAP is a trade organization. It's the Association of Performing Arts Presenters that will kick off their conference in New York City, the 61st conference, starting January 10th with pre-conferences, and then January 12th for their industry conference in Midtown, New York. And I just have to tell you, they're a great organization, really helping the arts and performers so that they can sustain themselves in this country and continue doing what they love. And now we have with us a very special guest. We have Mr. Antonio Monda, who is a writer and the artistic director of the Rome Film Festival, and that's an international literary festival. And he also teaches film and television at New York University. He has directed several documentaries, feature films, and we are bringing him on to tell us a little bit more about this festival because it kind of germinated a little bit between New York and in Europe, and it's quite fascinating. And I just attended one of their sort of lectures with one of their writers. So, Antonio, thank you for joining us this evening.
Me. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for coming on.
As you mentioned, Le Conversazioni is a festival that I co-founded with Davide Azzolini in 2016, which means the next year will be the 13th year.
Oh, wow.
We do organize events in New York, at the Morgan Library and the New York Historical Society. In the past, we did also the MoMA, the Guggenheim, and we are planning to do in other venues soon. But we also organize events in Bogota, Colombia, Rome, and, of course, Capri. Actually, the first venue was in Capri in 2016. This is the place where everything started.
Okay. Well, I wanted you to come on and tell our audience because it's like this whole beautiful concept that you put together by getting all these various writers together to talk about their books and to also talk about their practice. And even though it originated in Capri, you do have a lot of talks in New York. I just attended one at the New York Historical Society, and it was quite fascinating, to say the least. And it's a beautiful venue, first of all.
Oh, it's a wonderful venue, the New York Historical Society. And what we do in Capri and in Italy, or even in Bogota, it's a little bit different from what we do in New York. Because in Capri, we give our guests, and we had everybody from David Foster Wallace to Jonathan Franzen, from Donna Tartt to Zadie Smith, just to mention 4 names. We have more than 100. A theme. Every year there is a different theme. Last year, was lies. This next year will be felicity, happiness. And while in New York, we do a live profile. Basically, what we ask our guests, and we just had Liz Strauss, Philip Gurevich, and Erica Jong, and Emma Klein. We do a live profile, meaning tell us about your favorite films, your favorite paintings, your favorite lyrics, your favorite music. And so the audience can understand a little bit more, not only their books, but who they are, basically.
Right.
And I think it's very simple, but at the same time very fascinating.
I think people don't realize that it's important to be a diverse human being.
Absolutely.
And by being diverse and reading and getting involved with music and poetry, which sometimes people don't realize is a very important, genre, we grow as human beings. And that's what makes your festival interesting, because you're really mixing all of these genres and what influences people, what inspires
as we say
them.
in Italy, grazie, thank you. But what is important for us to give a different angle. Sometimes you understand and you realize something completely unexpected on this on these authors. For example, let me give you an example. A few years ago, we had Jonathan Franzen, and I asked him, "What is your favorite films?" And he gave me 3 films. One of them was Body Heat by Lawrence Kasdan. And honestly, I would have never expected that. But then he explained why in a very intelligent and deep way, and I think it was an interesting thing for everybody in the audience, not only for me.
That's interesting. Yeah, and that is important, that you learn who the person is, what motivates them. Just sharing with you, last evening, I was on the Upper East Side, and I was at this gallery, Friedman Art, and they were showing the print works of 3 very well-known artists, Frank Stella, Robert Motherwell, and Helen Frankenthaler. And I was struck by the hard edge works that Frank Stella did, because they looked like collages, and it showed a softer side of the person, very complex, very colorful, somewhat wild, and I would not expect that. So if we don't look deeper beyond what we know of people, we won't really understand, the vastness of their talent or their innovation or their understanding of life. So yes, I get what you're trying to do. Tell us, what are you planning for 2018?
I have at least 16 events. 16. We start on March 18th at the New York Historical Society with Isabella Rossellini.
Oh!
And then it will be a live profile, her favorite films, her favorite books, but also a lot of story on her family, her famous parents, Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini.
I would like to have a front row ticket.
Oh, you're invited. Remind me a few days in advance.
Okay.
March 18th. And then we continue in May at the again at the New York Historical Society. And of course I'll let you know. We will announce the guests in February. Now I cannot say the names, but we have very, very good names.
Okay.
And then we continue in Bogota, then Capri, then Rome, and then Capri, and we conclude our events in November in New York. So it's an international festival. It's a traveling festival.
Yes.
And we have up to 16 events per year.
That is a lot of events.
Yes, it is. It is. I must say that it's exciting, but also a little bit tiring.
I can imagine you're exhausted at the end of that. But to have Isabella Rossellini, oh my God, that's amazing. She's
And
an icon.
I had the privilege of doing already another event 5 or 6 years ago. She's so fun, so intelligent, so smart, and so sweet.
Oh, she has some stories to tell. I can only imagine what an evening that will be. And that's why I'm bringing this up and why you're on the show, to share with our audience that New York is an international city. It is not just an American city.
Listen, Isabella was born in Rome, a father who was Italian, a mother who was Swedish, and she lives in New York, a perfect New Yorker.
I'm serious. And I think sometimes New Yorkers don't realize how blessed they are to have access. That's the most important thing. Access to such great people and works and opportunities to learn, to engage. Because you're forcing me to think about working on my Italian a little bit more. Because my name's Italian too. And so therefore I really should work on my Italian. But it's like, that's the benefit of being in New York City, that you don't even necessarily have to leave the city to have a global experience.
True.
And I think
and
that's
it's unique.
wonderful.
It's one of the great things about New York. There's nothing like New York.
It is. Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining us and telling us. Repeat again the name of your festival.
The name is Le Conversazioni. I'm proudly keep the Italian name, which is the Conversations.
Yes, it does. And you're also the artistic director of the Rome Film Festival.
The Rome Film Festival. That's a completely different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
We just finished. It was the end of October, the festival, and we had, let me give you a couple of names, David Lynch, or, I don't know, Michael Shannon, Rosamund Pike, and among the guests of the previous edition, Jude Law, Wes Anderson, Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks. Every year we have so many big stars.
Oh, my God. You really can pack them in. That is phenomenal. So we have a great new friend that's joining us. And
I'm very proud and honored to be your friend.
Yes, thank you so much. And we look forward to talking to you again in 2018. And I will mark that date for March
28th. We look forward.
March 28th. Thank you so much. Have a great evening and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you so much.
All
Bye-bye.
Right. Bye-bye. Hello? Yes, and we are back with State of the Arts NYC. We just had Mr. Antonio Monda, who is the writer and artistic director of the Rome Film Festival, as well as the director of the literary festival Le Conversazioni. And that was a great conversation. It's based in New York and Capri and Bologna. And I just think it's wonderful that in New York City, we can have access to such international celebrities and writers, and right in our own backyard. And I think that's what makes the city so great. And so we're getting ready to have our wrap up with Irene Javors. Irene Javors is our contributor for our Museum Edge, and she reviewed the exhibition on Louise Bourgeois. And so here we are. We're going to have Irene Javors.
This is Irene Javors at the Museum Edge with a review of the Louise Bourgeois exhibit, Louise Bourgeois, an Unfolding Portrait, on view until January 28, 2018 at the Museum of Modern Art, New York City. The show is a journey through the books, prints, sculptures, paintings, and interior world of Louise Bourgeois, 1911 to 2010. Her art spanned most of the 20th century and continued into the 21st century. She was prolific. What is most interesting about this exhibit is that it focuses on Bourgeois' creative process. Her art is known for its personal themes involving an exploration of her unconscious desires and her body. She draws on events from her childhood and sees her artwork as cathartic and therapeutic. She created a personal visual language by using archetypal images as well as mythic themes. Reoccurring images of spirals, spiders, cages, medical instruments all serve as psychic symbols of the feminine, beauty, and pain. For this viewer, the giant spirals and spiders were absolutely breathtaking. Additionally, Bourgeois had a wonderful sense of humor, displayed most prominently in signs that read, "I had a flashback of something that never existed," and her tribute to Freud, "Return of the Repressed." Louise Bourgeois was a feminist foremother who has inspired women in the arts. Additionally, her work stayed focused on the subjectivity of the artist and upon the relationship of memory to artwork. The exhibit has some 300 works. Additionally, the museum is home to an archive of the artist's prints. The exhibit is on until January 28, 2018. This is Irene Javors at the Museum Edge for State of the Arts, New York City, WBAI Radio.
Jan Arts NYC is one of the largest and most influential gatherings of performing arts in the world, a partnership among 11 independent and multidisciplinary festivals. 45,000 arts leaders, entertainers, and enthusiasts converge in New York for network learning, professional development, mentorship, cultural exchange, awards, and peer acknowledgement. The Office of Media and Entertainment is proud to be a supporting partner. Participating artists: Chamber Music America, the Public Theater's Under the Radar Festival, Prototype Opera Theater Now, International Society for the Performing Arts, Joyce Theater's American Dance Platform, American Realness, PS 122's Coil Festival, NYC Winter Jazz Fest, Wavelengths, APAP Music World Pre-Conference, APAP NYC 2018, and Global Fest. The public can enjoy innovative works hosted around New York City. For more information, go to janartsnyc.org.
And we are back, and that wraps up our show, the last show for the year. We want to wish all of our listeners and supporters a very, very healthy and blessed and happy New Year. We will see you back on the air January 5th. So thank you all and enjoy your holidays. Bye-bye.
End the year 2017 right with WBAI by becoming a BAI Buddy. A BAI Buddy is someone who signs up to make a recurring monthly donation to your favorite free speech radio, WBAI, by either using a debit or credit card. Don't worry, it's safe, secure, simple, automatic, and it shows that you support the values of WBAI in an environment of attacks on free speech radio. Become a BAI Buddy or increase your monthly contribution by going to WBAI.org or call the number 516-620-3602. Until December 31st, new BAI Buddies get a WBAI tote bag, a Buddy membership card for discounts around New York City, and to show our appreciation, we're giving away a new iPad to a lucky member. We wish all our listeners a Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2018.
Happy New Year, everybody. At a time when we turn the page on one year and look ahead to the future, I just wanted to take a minute to thank you for everything you've done to make America stronger these past 8 years. From the Obama family to yours, have a happy and blessed 2017.
Just look at this. It's time once again for Shortcut.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. 미국이 새롭게 고안해내고 감행하려는 도발적인 예방전쟁에는
They will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power.
미국 본토를 포함한 적들의 모든 아성을
I've seen this raw strength only once before. Tune in for a shortcut. New Year's Eve at 11 here on WBAI FM, listener-sponsored radio in New York.
I'm Jesse Lent with the WBAI Resistance Calendar. On Wednesday, January 3rd at 7 p.m., the Blue Stockings Educational Project will present the Icarus Project Radical Mental Health Workshop Series, Explorations in Personal Transformation and Collective Liberation. The Icarus Project NYC is a local chapter of the Icarus Project, a radical mental health support network and media project by and for people who experience the world in ways that are often diagnosed as mental illness, reads a statement from organizers. We envision a new culture that allows the space and freedom for exploring different states of being and recognizes that breakdowns can be the entrance to breakthrough. We aim to create a language that is so vast and rich that it expresses the infinite diversity of human experiences. Our monthly workshops explore these themes through peer-based discussion, guest presentations, art, and forum theater. Blue Stockings is located at 172 Allen Street between Stanton and Rivington Streets in Manhattan. Find out more at nycicarus.org or by calling 212-777-6028. On Saturday, January 6th at 8 p.m., the author Peter Gelderloos will discuss his new book, Worshipping Power, An Anarchist Vision of Early State Formation, at the base at 1302 Myrtle Avenue between Central Avenue and Stockholm Street in Brooklyn. According to a description of the event on the base's website, the book, quote, attempts to answer the question of where states came from and why, looking at the causes of state formation and tracing different pathways of state development. How did the state co-evolve with different models of the family, religion, warfare, commerce, and economic production? To learn more, go to thebasebk.org and click on events at the top of the page. Then on Wednesday, January 10th at 6:30 p.m., the League of Women Voters of the City of New York will hold the organization's Voting Reform Initiative monthly meeting at 4 West 43rd Street, Suite 615 in Manhattan. The Voting Reform Initiative advocates for electoral reforms in New York State, including issues like early voting and automatic voter registration, reads the event description on the group's Facebook page. This month, we will be checking up on our early voting flyering and tabling efforts, as well as planning for upcoming league lobbying of New York State legislators in both Albany and New York City. Bring your best ideas. Find out more at lwvnyc.org or by calling 212-725-3541. And at 11 a.m. on Saturday, January 20th at Columbus Circle in Manhattan, the Women's March Alliance will kick off the 2018 Women's March on New York City. Join the world. On January 20th, NYC will raise its voice again to demand equality for all humans, reads a statement from organizers. Over the past year, basic rights for women, immigrants, LGBTQ individuals, the religious and non-religious, people of color, and even Mother Earth have struggled to survive under the weight of the current administration. America's First Amendment has been challenged, and health care for millions has been threatened. We must stand together to demand and defend our rights. Let your voice echo from the streets of New York City to the capital city. Show the world that red, white, and blue are colors of tolerance. You can find out more by going to womensmarchalliance.org and clicking on the 2018 March heading at the top of the page. That's the WBAI Resistance Calendar for the week ending Saturday, December 30th. I'm Jesse Lent.
And once again, this is WBAI New York, 99.5 FM, and WBAI.org on the web. The previous program was State of the Arts NYC, hosted and produced by Savona Bailey-McClain, heard Fridays starting at 5 p.m. Usually at this time, it would be Radio GBE with Imhotep Gary Bird on the air. Yes, Radio GBE will be on the air with guest host Bob Law. So rather than embarrassing Imhotep on air and lauding him with accolades to the nth degree, I get to do that with Bob Law now, to embarrass him with accolades to the nth degree. And I'm doing it right now. Anyway, with all that said.
And I'm not helping him. I'm acting like I'm not here.
This is live radio, folks. So just to make sure to let you know. Yeah, the best kind. The best kind.
Live radio.
Okay, stay tuned for radio.